Florida may be famous for its sunny beaches, but there are other sides to the state. We took the opportunity to explore the Panhandle, which turned out to have beaches, but when we were there, they were cloudy and moody. We camped deep inside a thick forest and then spent a few days relaxing at my dad's house in Sarasota. The road out of Bay Minette, Alabama this morning was overcast and a bit grungy. That set the pace for the rest of the day. Today was spent mostly in the Florida Panhandle, a sort of dark and mysterious day in a part of the state that I don't know much about, despite being from the southeast myself. The murkiness was evident right away. This bridge over the Perdido River is the border between Alabama and Florida. Maceo and I didn't stop for photos at the welcome sign because there was no welcome sign. There was no sign indicating the state line at all. I had to look all this up later. Around here, Florida is there if you want it, but it isn't going to go out of its way to explain anything. We were heading first to the Gulf of Mexico again. Anytime I see a map that shows a road skirting the edge of water, I'm there. The usual southern pace of life held us back a bit, like this train taking no notice whatsoever of us cars waiting at the eternal red light. But as a Georgian, it was nice being back where things were familiar. Not that I've ever personally let my chicken get loose at the gas station, but people do. On the other side of Pensacola Bay is the town of Gulf Breeze, sometimes ranked the #1 place to live in the United States. It seemed nice, but I'm just here for the scenic drive along the Gulf of Mexico, if there is one. Aha, so there is. On sunnier and calmer days, these beaches in northwest Florida are all sorts of lovely and inviting. But I loved them at least as much on a day like this, brooding dark clouds over the somber wind-blown sand dunes. You might not put this on a tourist brochure, but it's got lots of personality. Best of all, this was another bonus National Park Service location. I I hadn't realized it, but we were at part of Gulf Island's national seashore. This NPS site consists of several scattered islands and areas. Most of them are in Mississippi, so we were seeing a sort of strange little corner of it, called the Santa Rosa area, on the long, thin Santa Rosa Island. The sand in this part of Florida, around the city of Destin, is some of the whitest in the world. It's made up of grains of quartz crystal from the Appalachian Mountains, so fine that it resembles sugar. But eventually, for us, the good times and the fresh air of the beaches had to end. Our destination was to a campground deep in a place with an exquisitely Florida name, the Apalachicola National Forest. National forests are overseen by the U.S. Forest Service, not the National Park Service, and this one is the largest national forest in Florida. Our campground, Wright Lake, was way down a dirt road surrounded by endless trees. Everything felt damp and, well, foresty. We seemed to be the only ones camping here. We set up the tent and had dinner. Blood sugar was great, 105, and it was a supremely quiet and relaxing evening. We checked out Wright Lake. I kinda hoped there would be no alligators tonight, and luckily there weren't. But there were fireflies. I experimented with photographing them by leaving the shutter open for several seconds so I'd get the blinking trail of each one. It kinda worked, sorta. I even tried to get video of them. More reliable was the moon and stars up through the tall, thin Florida trees. And this night was the end of the first big part of this road trip. For one thing, we never used this tent again. Its translucent material and tiny interior were not optimal, so we traded up. We also spent the next few days off the road visiting my dad in Central Florida. So I won't go into those next few days since they're not really part of the road trip itself. But for the sake of completeness, there were some highlights of the driving on day 26. After waking up early and leaving Apalachicola National Forest, we again drove down to the coast. And again it was cloudy and the sea was rough and sullen. And the towns eventually got less beachy and more like regular small southern towns. Most of the drive was really boring. We ended up on Highway 98, which looks like this forever. Dullsville. I don't know, maybe I just need a better attitude. Just let my long hair flow and enjoy the ride. One weird thing on the way was when we stopped into a Hardee's for lunch. There were people working and a couple of other customers standing around waiting for their order, but the vibe was really strange. Nobody talked to us or acknowledged us, nor each other. It seemed like everyone was moving in slow motion, but nothing was really getting done. Something wasn't quite right. After a few minutes, Masio and I looked at each other and agreed to leave. At a Subway next door, everything was normal. sometimes wonder if those zombies are still there, haunting the kitchen and not making hamburgers. The coolest part of the drive to Sarasota was the Sunshine Skyway, a huge bridge over Tampa Bay. It's always a highlight. This version was opened in 1987, after the previous one was hit by a freighter during a storm in 1980. It caused the bridge to collapse, and cars and a Greyhound bus dropped into the water. Feels a lot safer today on a sunny afternoon. And that was that. Our crazy zigzag through northwestern Florida had been really cool. It was like nothing we've seen so far on this trip, just dense, moist forests and big, tough beaches by an enormous gulf. In over 4,000 miles, we've almost made it all the way from the Pacific to the Atlantic coast. Before that milestone, I think we deserve a break. We spent 3 nights in Sarasota, washing the car, lazing in the pool, and lazing by the pool. On day 29, the call of the road is unavoidable, and we drive east across Florida to another national seashore, and then up the coast through the first rain of the entire trip to the historic city of St. Augustine.